not sure how to say this, but I make money with my mouth.
I can't believe I started my presentation with that line, but here's the story behind it. The night before, I was speaking to some of the people who were going to be in the audience, and they were asking me, what do you do? And I was explaining it to them, and this one person jumps in and says, oh, he makes money with his mouth. And everyone started laughing. And one of the people at the table said, oh man, you should start your speech tomorrow with that line. And the moment he said that, a part of me, Yasser, don't change everything that you have rehearsed over the past month. And the other side of me thought, you know what, I should start with that. I read the room, I noticed a lot of the people in the room, they love this kind of humor. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take a risk, screw it. I'm going to say something that absolutely gets their attention, and it did, and it paid off. So the first killer way you can start a presentation is say something where the audience has to pay attention. They have to listen. Something outlandish, something a little bit out there. If you don't know who I am, my name is Yasser Khan. I teach CEOs and leaders across the world how to speak with confidence, clarity, and credibility, how to speak like a CEO.
Now, before I start, I have never seen better security than at this event. And let me tell you exactly why. I walked in this room to shake his hand, and that gentleman comes over to me and says, am I supposed to know who you are?
This next one I call WeGo. What is WeGo? WeGo is what is going on. What is going on? When the audience sees you for the first time, they're making conclusions about you, not just based on what you say, but what you're doing leading up to you starting your presentation. So in this clip, you're seeing me holding tennis rackets in my hand. What are people thinking? What are those for? This is a presentation on communication skills. Why is he holding tennis rackets? In the back of their mind, there's curiosity already brewing. Now, I could talk about something completely irrelevant. Hey, my name is Yasser. These are my qualifications. But if I'm just holding the tennis racket, they're thinking, okay, I see what he's doing, but what is he going to do with the tennis racket? This creates a lot of anticipation in the background without you even having to say anything.
So please grab a coffee and join me in welcoming Yasser to the stage.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me over there? Can you hear him over there? Can you hear me there? Beautiful, beautiful. Before I start, raise your hand if you've seen me before or this is your first time. Audience Engagement 101. Thank you very much. Can you hear me in the back? Okay. And first of all, she knows more about me than I know about myself. I don't know where you got half of that information from, but it's 3.5 million followers now, and I'm hoping by the end of this talk, it's 500 more people? Yes?
I call this the rockstar method because when I'm nervous before a presentation, I try to think about what can I do to put myself in a mental state where I feel comfortable. And I think about a rock star. Welcome everybody, so happy you're here. Are you excited about a good show? They lead in with that energy and the audience follows. So what I will do is I will assume, even if, especially if, the audience has no idea who I am, I'll walk into the room with this sense of familiarity. I'll just assume they know who I am. I'll start doing this, I'll start doing this. And I have found whenever I do this, automatically people let their guard down. They think, oh, he's a funny character, he's very lighthearted. I'll do this in so many presentations and it works really, really well. So that's the rockstar method. Hey, real quick, if you want to learn to speak like a CEO, I have a full Speak Like a CEO workshop available down below that I teach Fortune 500 companies. You're going to learn how to speak with confidence, clarity, and credibility. Click the link down below and check out the Speak Like a CEO workshop.
When you speak, do people remember you? Are you memorable or are you forgettable? And why is it important to be memorable in the first place? You see, when I started off my career as a public speaking coach, I once delivered a presentation in front of 200 people.
This is from my TEDx talk. Now, what I wanted to do was create an open loop in the mind of the audience. I need to know the answer to this question. So the first words out of my mouth were to create an open loop, meaning this is the question, what is the answer? And the entire talk is that answer. So for example, when you speak, do people remember you? Are you memorable or are you forgettable? That is the frame of the entire talk. And I got this inspiration from Esther Perel and her TEDx talk, where her first words are, why do people cheat? Why do happy people cheat? Just in those 9 words, she's able to command attention. So I thought, what can I do with my presentation that's similar to that? And the result is obvious. If you go to my TEDx talk, it has about 1.1 million views as of right now. So ask a question or say something that creates an open loop that doesn't immediately answer. So if I said, when you speak, do people remember you? Well, you can do X, Y, Z, and that will help you become more memorable. If I did this, I've immediately given away the answer and you no longer want to watch the rest of it. So you create an open loop.
Just give me a quick raise of hand if you've ever met someone and in the first 10 seconds you regretted meeting them. Okay, hopefully it wasn't the last 10 seconds. What do they do or say that make you feel that way? What do you think it is? Their features? Do you like my suit? Hopefully this is a good one. Oh, well, I did shave today, so hopefully that's okay. Okay, so bad face, what else? Arrogant, okay. How would they express that?
By their words, sometimes body language.
That they talk about, oh, so I went to Harvard and this is my qualification, and you get what I'm trying to say, right? So arrogant right away. Let's get one more. Unnecessary? Yeah, so they never stop talking, right? We all know someone like that who never stops talking.
Now, this is one of my favorite ways to start a speech or presentation. I use it 80% of the time. And that is the first word out of my mouth asks the audience to do something. So I'll walk onto the stage and I'll say, raise your hand if this, raise your hand if that. And it's something so easy that they don't have to think about it too much. Why do I do this? 1, it gets the audience to engage. We now have a relationship. 2, it tells them this is a back and forth conversation. You're not just going to sit there and listen to me the entire time. And number 3, it shows them right from the start of the presentation that it is safe to participate. It is safe to be a part of this presentation. And then as I continue talking and as I continue asking questions throughout the presentation, they're more and more likely to participate. So I'll walk on stage and I'll say, raise your hand if you've seen me before, or raise your hand if you've seen a boring presentation before. And usually I'll make a joke out of it or something like that, and then continue on with the presentation. So this way, you break the ice, you engage the audience, then you get into the material.
I'm going to do something today that I've never done before because you're special, and that is I teach CEOs to speak on stage. But I was speaking to a few people, and all of you speak really well, so I don't quite know why I'm here. So I'm going to get you to choose what kind of keynote you want to hear. I'll give you 2 options. Whichever one gets the loudest applause, I'm going to go with that route. Can we do that? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. The first one is I can teach you how some of the most successful speakers speak. So when you enter a room, all of the attention is on you and you're immediately the biggest experts in the room. Give me a round of applause if that's what you want to hear. Okay, we might be sticking with that one. The second option is I've worked with some of the biggest CEOs in the world, including, and anyone heard of Ray-Ban before? Anyone has Ray-Ban? Anyone heard of Meta before? So I've worked with those teams literally this weekend, teaching them on presentations. And when I'm around people like that, I learn lessons that are not communication related, but success related. What do these people do that make them successful? So would you rather hear about the tips on being more successful as a speaker or being more successful in life? If it's number 2, give me a round of applause.
Now this one's unusual. I don't recommend beginners do this, but oftentimes when I go to a venue, the organizer tells me, oh, this is what I want you to talk about. But then when you go to the venue and you see what the emotions are like in the room, what people are feeling, they might not be in the same emotional state. So for example, I was asked to deliver an educational session on how to become a better speaker. But the event was a gala night and everyone was there to celebrate. So instead of just going into that 30-minute talk, I just asked them, hey, would you want me to do this or that? Would you want me to do this or that? Now they're buying in. When someone chooses what's going to happen, now they feel like they have to see it through. If I say 1 or 2 and you say 2, I say, okay, great, I'm gonna go with 2. You feel rewarded. You feel like I have taken your suggestion into consideration. And now you want to follow through and you want to see what number 2 sounds like. Or, that sounded weird, I want to see what number 2 sounds like. You get the point. But if you're someone who chose option 1 and I went with option 2, you still want to see, okay, you didn't go with my option, but I'm curious to see if this other angle is just as good. So just when you give the audience a choice, 1 or 2, they're engaged because it becomes a challenge. Can he entertain me? Can he deliver on his promise? It's also interesting because a lot of speakers don't do this, where, hey, I've got a lot of things I can talk about. Do you want this or do you want that? Typically, speakers come with their own agenda, their own slides. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to talk about it. So when a speaker says, hey, what do you want? All of a sudden, the audience feels a lot more engaged.
Thank you.
I tried.
Usually the standing ovation comes after the talk, but I'll take it. By the way, I will say, after that introduction, I almost clapped for myself. So that was fantastic. Before I begin, I'm very afraid of being here, which is unusual for me, and it's not because of you, it's not because of the audience, it's because of what happened to me on the way here. You know what I'm talking about. When I was coming here in my Uber, the driver, him and I were stuck in traffic, and he looks over at me just to make conversation. And he says, so, what do you do? I said, oh, I'm a speaker. He said, speaker? What does that mean, like a motivational speaker? Yeah, I guess you could say that. He's like, wow, motivate me. Like, no, not that kind of speaker. I speak about speaking and communication. You speak about speaking. Yeah, and people pay you for this. Yeah. And then I see him put his hands on the steering wheel, and he looks at me like, wow, Canada, where they'll pay for just about anything. Now I'm thinking, you're driving me to my speaking engagement right now, and if you ever stop driving Uber, maybe your next job could be a demotivational speaker. Okay?
There are 2 ways that I start with a story. Number 1, I tell a story about what happened to me prior to this event, on the way to this event, something that happened at a similar event. And the whole purpose of this is to break the ice, get them to like me, get them to connect with me. If I show up, my name is Yasser. Today you are going to learn how to become a better speaker. I don't know who you are. I don't even know if I like you. Why should I trust you? So I'll tell a story that might be completely irrelevant to the talk that helps them connect with me as a person. That's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is I will launch into the topic of my presentation with a story.
3 confessions before we go into the curriculum. And the first one being, 13 years ago, I applied to every single university you just named, and I got rejected by all of them. So I'm very envious of every single one of you here. But life found a way to put me in the university anyway, so here I am. Number 2, I did make my way into business school, and then I failed. Would you like to guess which class I failed? Accounting? Whoever said accounting wins. So I didn't get into university. When I did, I failed accounting and I flopped. So naturally, I'm the most qualified person to come here and teach you the skills, am I not? Number 3, I'm very nervous. When I'm in front of an audience, even though I'm a trained public speaking coach, I get very nervous. Can anyone relate to that? Just about everybody here. By the way, this usually takes very long for people's hand to go up. They're looking at everybody, oh, you're nervous too? Okay, then their hand goes up. This is a much more confident audience. So today, we're going to talk about public speaking, but I want to give you a reason to believe anything I say. Don't just trust what comes out of my mouth. I want to share with you how I came to where I am today. Now, a lot like you, I came here to study. I came here from Pakistan. I didn't really have a lot of friends. I was very socially awkward. And in high school, when I had presentations, I would hide in the bathroom long enough till the class is over so I could just go home and cry myself to sleep. Has anyone done that?
Yeah, now no hands go up, right? One person raised their hand. You and I will connect later. We'll talk about our trauma at another time. So I was in a position where I came to Canada, I didn't know anyone, I was so shy, I didn't know what to do, so naturally,
I try to answer the question, why should they care? Why is this a problem worth solving? So I'll show them in a story, this was the problem, these were the consequences of that problem. Everything you're about to learn today, everything you're about to see today will be a solution to that problem. So in a story format, I want them to imagine, oh, that's happened to me, or I don't want that to happen to me, or I didn't even know that could happen to me. How do I fix it? And then I go into my presentation.